In this country, it doesn't matter where you live. You can live in the farms, in the townships, in the suburbs, or in informal settlements. If there's one thing for sure, you are not safe. You are not safe, your children are not safe, and your family is not safe. As a citizen of South Africa, you need to understand that you are living in constant danger. You are a target, and anything can happen to you at any given time. Criminals can attack you at any given time. Criminals can attack your family at any given times. Criminals can attack your children at any given times. It doesn't matter where you live in South Africa. There is no place in South Africa that can guarantee your safety right now. And it's so sad that this is one of the issues that makes us common as South Africans. How unsafe we are. Man, crime is totally out of control in South Africa, man. You look at the borders. We don't have the borders. Criminals, especially the ones who live outside of South Africa, understand that in South Africa, man, the borders are porous. It is not a surprise that today you see illegal immigrants doing as they please in South Africa. It is not a surprise. I am not surprised. Because our borders, for some reason, they've been left open so that people can walk in and out as they please. If you don't think that the criminals who live in the neighboring countries are not paying attention to South Africa, then clearly you are not the one who is paying attention. Criminals can see what is happening in South Africa. Criminals understand that in South Africa, you can simply walk in and do your operations. And whenever you are sought after by the police, you can simply walk out. This is what people do. This is what these criminals who come outside of South Africa do in South Africa, and they understand this perfectly. It is not a surprise that illegal immigrants are running their operations smoothly in South Africa. It's not a surprise. And what is hurtful about this whole thing is that average South Africans, whenever they try to express their frustrations about the criminality that has been happening in their communities, the media is quickly to label them as xenophobic. So South Africans find themselves in a very difficult position. And I don't want us to only focus on illegal immigrants, but I just want us to look at this issue. It is one of the biggest issues that is affecting South Africa right now. The fact that we don't have the borders, the fact that illegal immigrants are doing as they please right in front of our eyes. They've hijacked the buildings in Johannesburg and in other cities. Those buildings have been turned into informal settlements, and there's nothing that the government can do. You heard last time, the mayor of Johannesburg said that there's a human rights groups that are making it hard for them to evict these people. So criminals understand that. They understand that even in South Africa, you can have a proper representation. You can go there. You can hijack a building. And for some reason, there will be a lawyer that will make sure that you occupy that building. Are you honestly telling me that, guys, that there's nothing that can be done about all the illegal immigration that is happening in South Africa? And right now, South Africa, when you look, South Africa, it has been given this reputation of a xenophobic country. But if we have to be honest, the South Africans are not xenophobic, and South Africans are not saying that foreigners must not come in South Africa. People are saying that if you don't live in South Africa, you need to bring in your papers. You need to get into the country legally. And there are people who follow protocols and who are in South Africa legally. This is exactly why it is important for us to make a distinction between people who are in South Africa illegally and people who are in South Africa legally. This is why I also don't like it when people try to demonize all the foreigners and act like each and every foreigner in South Africa, they are here illegally. We need to understand that there are people who are in the country legally, and there are people who are in the country illegally. And these people who are in the country illegally are making it hard for people who are in the country legally to survive. And as South Africans, at some point, we really have to be honest with ourselves, man. We really can't play politics with this whole thing of crime in South Africa. At some point, we have to be frank with ourselves and be able to say that some of these people who come outside of South Africa to commit crimes in South Africa, they are assisted by South African-born criminals. People who were already committing crimes. Most of these people who come from Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and all of these other countries and come to South Africa with bad intentions, most of them, they are assisted by South African-born criminals. So we have a huge crime issue right now in the country. We have illegal immigrants doing as they please in South Africa, running their operations, their illegal operations. Then we have South African-born criminals, making sure that crime is totally out of control. And the reason why earlier I said that South Africans find themselves in a very difficult position, because whenever they say anything about the criminality that is happening in their neighborhoods, they are being labeled as xenophobic. But at the same time, average South Africans are expected to trust the South African police service. Everyone knows how South African police service operates. You will hear it every time Minister Cele, when he gives a speech, he will say that South Africans must not take the matters into their own hands. South Africans must call the police whenever something wrong is happening. But for years, people have been saying that whenever something wrong happens, when we call the police, these people are going to arrive at the crime scene after 4, 5, 6 hours. So that is the situation that we are left in right now. So if a criminal wants to come into your house and you want to call the police, chances are criminal is gonna get in, do whatever they want, and walk out before the police get here. South Africa, man, it's unfair to expect the South Africans to trust the South African police service. And you hear the ministers, you hear all of these guys in the government telling South Africans to trust this institution. This is despite all the allegations that have been leveled against the South African police service. All of them. For some reason, average South Africans are expected to trust these institutions. And another thing that the country, I think right now, we are at the perfect position to talk about, is how hard it is for average South Africans to get guns. When are we honestly going to start talking about the guns, guys? It is so hard for an average South African to get a gun. They have to go through so much red tape to get a gun. But guess what? Criminals don't care about the laws. Criminals don't care about the fact that the guns they possess are illegal. They don't care about that. But for some reasons, it's hard for South Africans to even defend themselves and their families. I mean, how many stories have we heard that criminals walked inside the house, did whatever they want to do, and left? And at the time, you are a man of the house, you are a woman of the house, you have children in your house, you can't even protect yourself because you don't have a gun. If you want a gun, you're going to go through so much red tape that it's almost impossible for you to get a gun. So what are we going to do as South Africans, man? What are we going to do? For the longest time, South Africans have been saying to the government that, guys, crime is totally out of control. And you saw recently that the Minister of Transport and her expensive VIP security detail, they got robbed at gunpoint. And I saw so many reactions from people. And some of these reactions were almost as if people were celebrating the fact that the minister was held at gunpoint. I am not celebrating the fact that the minister was held at gunpoint. That is awful. You know, guys, I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandmother used to say that if you celebrate when something bad happens to the next person, then you are essentially inviting bad things to happen to you. So I am not going to celebrate the fact that the minister and her security detail were held at gunpoint. But I hope that this serves as a wake-up call to these people that crime is totally out of control. And now that it's affecting the people in government, hopefully some change will happen. And this is what people were saying, that maybe, just maybe, these politicians need to start experiencing what average South Africans are experiencing, so that they can feel how South Africans feel. This is the same conversation that was had last week, I think, about government officials sending their children to private schools. Why are people in government sending their children to private schools? And why is it allowed for someone who is in government to send their children to private schools? Why are you not sending your children to public schools? You expect the general public to deal with that mess in the public school system, but you don't want your children to be anywhere near that. When you are sick, you don't attend the public hospitals, you go to the private hospitals. Some of you guys there in the government, you go to Europe when you need medical attention. But for some reason, it's okay for average South Africans to go to these public hospitals that are a mess. So is it okay, or is it fair for government officials to use alternative measures and expect the public to use these things that they preside over? This is the conversation that we need to have as South Africa. And this is a legislation that must be pushed, that if you want to work in government, your children are going to attend the private schools. You are going to attend you are going to attend public hospitals whenever you need medical attention. It can't be that we have people presiding over the institutions that they literally broke down and expect people to use those institutions, but they themselves are not using those institutions. It is not fair. It is not fair. So guys, I don't know, man, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? And I am not celebrating the fact that the minister was held at gunpoint. I want to make that clear. But I hope this serves as a wake-up call to these people in government that, guys, crime is totally out of control. And I hope these guys in government understand that to them now it's an open season. Criminals now understand that you can target the ministers in South Africa. They understand that you can target these high-profile people. And I'm sure criminals are tired of robbing South Africans. Man, South Africans are poor. Inflation is up. People can't even afford food. Criminals are tired of robbing poor South Africans because South Africans don't have money. Now they are turning their target to these guys in the government. I hope that they can see this now, that it's open season to them. It's open season to us. It's open season to them. This is why when I started this video, I said that it doesn't matter where you live in South Africa. You can live in the farms, you can live in the suburbs, you can live in the townships, you can live in informal settlements. You are not safe. All of us are not safe. And hopefully this is the right time for these guys in government to take this matter seriously. I hope that they will take this matter seriously. So guys, please tell me what you think, man, on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.